If you take them with and you get frustrated because you walk over a shed 10 times and the dog doesn't pick it up, you could set the dog back. This episode is partially to, I guess, play a little catch up. I'm behind on messaging, and I thought about it and I realized I actually think that a lot of these could be really good podcast answers or questions. And we've done that in the past. We've done a lot of questions, made a podcast episode out of it. I think it's valuable because if one person has a question, other people do as well. And before we do, I want to thank you guys again for the support and it's hard for us to describe how much we appreciate you guys listening and sharing and doing those things because it really is the motivator for me. So here is the question. Hey Jeremy, currently new to watching your page, learning a lot from your videos. One question I have is what kind of food do you feed your labs? I'm currently feeding mine Purina Pro large breed puppy and having a lot of stomach issues. Any advice would be great. Thanks. So here's a question that we do get asked quite often. I don't talk about it very often just because I'm not a vet, and I feel like you have to, my answer is always find the food that works best for your dog. I think there's a lot of good foods out there. I know a lot of people that feed Purina Pro Plan. I think there's a Purina Pro Plan Sport out there. I know friends that feed that and have had a lot of success with it. I know Eukanuba has a ton of people feeding their dog food right now. They've done I think a great job with marketing. They've got it. Their name is everywhere, especially in our world when it comes to sporting and hunting dogs. I've never fed it. But so we feed American Natural Premium. It's a food that's made here in Wisconsin. It's actually made by a company that makes, and I'm blanking on the name right now. They make, in the same factory with, I can't think of it right now. They're down near Germantown, Wisconsin. So I ended up getting turned on to it from another friend who said, I'd like to see what you think about this food. The food that I was feeding, I wasn't super impressed with. And so I switched to this American Natural Premium. I saw a change in my dog's coats, which is a real indicator for me. Physically, it's hard for me to tell what's happening on the inside. With the exception of, I do think you can tell from waist. Like, I like dogs that have small waist. I feel like they're using their food to the max. I like not when it's real soft, and it seems like it just. So when I changed that American Natural Premium, I saw those changes. It was it's worked very well. I've fed the dogs, I don't know, probably 3-4 years now on it. That's what we feed. It works well with our dogs. I don't know that there's a super answer for this is the best food for every dog. I think you got to experiment. I think you got to have patience with it because I don't think it happens overnight. I think you got to do it for 60 days probably to get a real good feel for how your dogs are reacting. But the coats are an indicator to me. I like dogs that have the healthy coat, the look of the shine. Now that can be directly related to the food, but probably more the ingredients of the food, the omegas, the different oils that are in it. And I do think that is part of it. So that's a question for AJS, and I will AJS24, I'll send you a message on yours. Here's one that says, I'm looking to get a lab pup to start the process. Do you recommend any particular breeders? I'm in North Carolina, but open to travel anywhere. This is another one that I get a lot of questions about. I'm quick to respond back. I don't recommend any particular breeders because I feel now I've had some great experiences with some, and I've had some experiences that were less than great with others. So I don't necessarily recommend, especially if I haven't had an opportunity to work with their dogs. Now, some of the dogs, so I've worked with Bella recently, is a dog from Blue Cypress Kennels. They're out of Florida. Fantastic dog. They've got a really nice breeding program down there. Callie right now comes from Riverview Farms. I've had nothing but good experience with them and their dogs. With Callie in particular. But here's the thing. I think that you have to find the dog that fits your training style, lifestyle, and hunt style. And so I can give you recommendations, but I think Google can give you recommendations. And so I would start out with searching with a Google search. I think you got to have an idea what you want. So obviously, if you follow us, you know that like I prefer a British bred field dog. Like I like the style of that dog. They fit what we do, both hunting in life and in the field. And our training. So I'm not using collars on them. I've never owned a collar. I don't use a collar. So I need a dog that is kind of pre-programmed. And I don't say that they come automatically like that, because I know some guys that have British dogs, and just because in the idea of British dogs versus American dogs, one's not better than the other. They're different, but doesn't mean they're better or worse. I think they're the right fit for me. I don't put collars on them. And so a lot of them are not trained with collars. Some are. And the ones that are probably don't fit exactly what I'm looking for. So and when I say that here in the States. There are kennels and trainers that use collars on all dogs, regardless of British, American, whatever. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. One of the things that is appealing to me about the British dog is I feel there are a lot of them, the well-bred ones that I consider to be well-bred, don't need it. And that's perfect for me, because if they don't need it, I'm not going to use it. I don't use it anyway. So that's not to say you can't train an American dog without a collar, because I've done that too and had a lot of success with it. So I think you got to match your training style, lifestyle, and hunt style, and start Google searching, and then reach out to them. Talk to the kennels, talk to the owners, develop a comfort level with them as much as you do the dogs, because you aren't going to be able to see and understand the dogs to the depth that they do, but you got to have an understanding about the owners and the business model, and make sure that you're comfortable with that. Do you offer any videos on flushing work? So this is a question from a guy named Ben. So nothing specific right now, Ben. So what we do is we don't sell a DVD or digital video right now on bird dog, upland dog, and or gun dog. That's in the works. So we're filming them. We are filming them. We've got a shed one. We are refilming our game recovery one, which is our tracking one. We are going to do, we're working on our upland one, and we're also working on our gun dog one, which would be waterfall stuff. So that's coming. What I can say is our YouTube channel is probably a lot of information. Like we've got a series on there called Cody Go Back, which is one dog that we just documented her handling. I trained her, sent her home, brought her back, and worked on hand signals. And so we did backs, lefts, and rights. Very simple. I don't field trial, so I don't get into that style of handling. I'm very much a hunter, and so I want the dogs to be functional from a hunting perspective. And I'm not saying anything wrong with field trial stuff or hunt test stuff or whatever. It's just I don't look at it the same way, and so I don't approach it the same way with my training, and we don't see it from a performance standpoint the same way. I personally don't mind that at all. I prefer the more functional dog when it comes to, I like the idea of tapping into, I'm not looking to control them like a robot. I'm not looking at this like a video game where I need to joystick them to a spot. What I'm looking at is, me personally, my approach is, let's get the dog into the general area for them to do what they do best, which is natural game finding. Again, that comes back to some breeding stuff. And so dogs with natural game finding are very appealing to me. Dogs with strong noses. And so I don't want to take that away from a dog, and I don't want to have a dog that doesn't have that intentionally, so that we don't find ourselves getting into trouble with the dog working on their own, which again depends on what you're doing with the dog, and we don't compete with them. So I hunt with them. And so that to me is really important. So we have that series with Cody. We've also documented handling with Bella. I'm sure there's other ones that we've shown handling with in some of our series. So YouTube right now would probably be my recommendation, and playlists on there. And actually, I back up from that. YouTube is really powerful, and if you would be willing to subscribe to it, we'd appreciate it. It helps us grow our following on YouTube. It helps us to be able to get to more people and help more people. We also have a training library on our website that we just put a lot of work into, trying to consolidate and hold similar videos together. So we have playlists within our training library. That's on our website, which is dogmonehunter.com. I don't know that this is so much a question. This is from an Aaron. It says, just got a chocolate lab. He's 3 months old, does great with sitting and stay. I want to get him to be a shed dog, and I'm ordering your puppy kit with some shed hunting tools from you. I've been watching your videos. They're awesome information. So thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. This is, I'll turn this into a question. I don't know that this was so much a question, but a lot of people always ask, where do you start? And I think the key to this is the foundation. So Aaron, if I could recommend one thing to you at 3 months old with that puppy, it would be get yourself the foundation and the puppy videos, which are available digitally. They're also available as DVDs. Those are the things that I'm going to spend the first 10 to 12 months probably focused on 90% of my time and effort. Now, I think you're talking about getting them into shed hunting. That's at 3 months old right now. My focus would not be on this spring, because I'd say you're going to be like 6-7 months old at that time. You're not there. Not to say that shed hunting, the beauty of shed hunting is you can take them shed hunting without necessarily wrecking them, because there's not a lot of risk involved. The risk comes if you go in it with unrealistic expectations. I think you can put a dog in a really bad position if you take them duck hunting, upland hunting, even tracking to a degree early on. Like, I think there's a confidence factor that needs to be there. There's a great amount of foundation that needs to be there. It's just too overwhelming for some puppies, and I don't even say puppies, young dogs. And you can't control a lot of those scenarios. And if you can't control them, it's inevitable that things will go wrong. And those things can be really hard to come back from if they are negative effects on that young dog. Shed hunting, I don't know that it can be that bad, because you're really just going for a walk with that young dog. So at 6-7 months, can you take them with? Sure. If you take them with and you get frustrated because you walk over a shed 10 times and the dog doesn't pick it up, you could set the dog back. So that falls on you as the handler to understand the scenario and the situation and to handle it accordingly. So I do think that that's one exception when it comes to the idea of taking them to the field early. But I think that idea of having realistic expectations is not just with shed hunting. It's with everything. So Callie is 2 years old. She went on her first upland work the last 2 months. She's done her first true hunting, and she's done her first gun dog work in the last month and a half as well. Last month, I should say. It's maybe been a little less than a month. So she's 2 years old. And so when did she make retrieves? Yeah, and we just did a video that recapped our North Dakota trip with her. We're putting out a video right now that's recapping one of our grouse trips. We've been able to capture some really good transitional stuff that I think is a little entertaining at the same time, shows some hunting stuff. But all of the stuff we've done with her has been with the understanding that we have to be real and recognize that at 2 years old on her first season, we're just trying to extend the training. That's all we're doing, is trying to put pieces together, make things click from training to hunt, and making sure that things don't go wrong. Like, again, I think when you raise young dogs, some of the best training progress we make is avoiding bad things in the first place. And I think that can be said about first seasons in the field. So for her at 2 years old, is she off to a really good start? Yes. Is she done? Not even close. It'll be a couple years. And then by the time she hits 4, I think she's really going to be in good shape. So that's my personal approach to it. It's probably slower than some. And some will tell me, I've been told by people how much time I waste with dogs. And I'm okay with that. It used to bother me. It doesn't bother me anymore, because I look at it and I go, you know what? You train yours and I'll train mine. And then I enjoy mine so much, and I hope everyone else enjoys theirs as well. So as long as that is happening, I think you're doing it right. And so I also look at it and I go, very rarely, if ever, have I looked at that 4-year-old dog and said, boy, I just wish I would have done that different. I just wish I would have done that different. And look at it as an effect for me for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years that I'm going to have to pay a price for it or deal with something that is a little bit less desirable. Where I have seen plenty and had conversations with plenty of dog owners that have said, he's got this really bad habit. He does this, and he's always done it from the beginning. And I look at it and I go, it probably was avoidable. But it probably would have took a season or 2 away from you, or at least some of the time in the field a little away. And I'm willing to sacrifice that early opportunities to get extra hunts in to make sure that the rest of the hunts are a lot better as far as quality. So that's just my approach on it. Good question, Aaron. I'll send you a message that we touched on it. I truly appreciate your support with this. I ask you, if you're listening to this on an app or some type of a listening platform that allows for reviews, if you'd give it a review and even a comment, a review and your feedback, because that really helps us better understand what we're doing well, what we're not doing so well, what we need to improve on. It also, the primary reason I ask you to do it is because it allows for this to be shared to people that are in similar positions and would potentially benefit from it. And our goal with everything we're doing right now is trying to help those interested in training their dog to allow for them to have a better experience with them. So thank you guys. We'll talk to you soon, and we'll keep doing these. Enjoy the next few weeks and months, because the fall goes way too quickly.